All right, everybody, this is the real mentality where life is like a live action reel. Now, the manner and how we maneuver through life is through our environment, our associations, our worldview, our mentality. We all got to ask ourselves, what is our real mentality? Which brings me to my special guest. He is an author, a health and fitness guru, a tennis coach, devoted husband and father, and a member of the Distinguished Divine Nines Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Mr. Jeff Cade, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm well, man. I'm blessed by the best.
Mm-hmm.
Doing excellent, man. No complaints here. No complaints here. I appreciate you and allowing me to be on your platform in this space, and hopefully, we can definitely add some great educational content for the audience, man. How you
Yes,
doing?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, that is the goal, man. Learning about life, learning about gurus like yourself into the in the health and fitness arena, and also first and foremost, I wanted to tell you happy birthday.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, listen, humbled, grateful, and alive at 55. You know, the biological clock and my Lord God Almighty, the Waymaker, he says I'm 55, man, but I feel like 40, 45. Look and feel. So I'm blessed, man. No
That's awesome.
complaints.
I
Yeah.
turn I turn 43 next month, and I hope to get to your place right now. So knock on
Okay.
wood because
All
we'll
right,
see.
young blood. Okay,
Hmm.
young blood.
Now, just to kind of explain to the audience, how did we get here? There was like a newsletter that came out and within our Jack and Jill chapter, and it kind of highlighted how you wrote a book called Battleground Cancer. And I always wanted to talk to you about it. And it just so happened that you were at the event at the Whirly Ball thing for the dads. So that kind of gave me a chance to kind of like, introduce myself and say, hey, I heard that you had this book, and then you end up, bringing a book to me, and also the other book that you had co-written, which was Dare to Beat Me Through Cancer, that was written earlier this year in 2023.
Yes, yes. Dare to Be Me Through Cancer was a great collaborative effort through a multiple authors. Some of those authors actually have cancer. Some are cancer free, and it was just a great opportunity for me to be a part of that project. We completed that April of this year.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I read through it and it was some inspirational stories. Yes. Yep. Yeah, I will highlight. Actually, I will put a book, like a link, so that people can kind of get both of those books as well. So
No, sure, appreciate that.
now, first question. What was the motivation of you writing your first book, The Battleground Cancer?
You know, interesting. That was never a writing a book or becoming an author. It was never a bucket list item. I think it was in the making mentally. It just never came out right physically
Hmm.
or spiritually. You know, it was mostly therapeutic as well as just trying to give myself, family members, friends, and the greater audience, if you will, a little bit of shedding some light on me personally, professionally, and letting people know really how to live a healthier lifestyle. And so, Battleground Cancer stems from the loss of my parents. Were diagnosed with cancer. I lost my father to pancreatic cancer in 91. I lost my mother to breast cancer 6 years later in 1997. So it's been a while. It's been a while. And so that pain, that discomfort, um, really it's always there. You know, I always miss them. I always feel them, right? However, I needed to put what was up here and in my heart and pen the book. And I thought that was an appropriate title. Um, I thought it was appropriate for people to understand there's so many different diseases out here within our communities, and there's a way to curb um, getting those type of diagnoses. It's all about obviously, you know, hydration and what are you feeding your mind and what are you feeding yourself, mind body connection. Um, what are you consuming? Um,
Hmm.
is a lot of things out there that are not healthy for us. And I think, over time, that kind of led to the demise mostly of my father, not necessarily my mother, because they're two different type of cancers, obviously. And for me, it was just something I wanted to share personally and professionally, emotionally and spiritually, because again, sometimes God puts us through, as you know, a lot of tests, and through that test, you have testimony,
Hmm.
and you have to sometimes turn that pain into gain, and being able to just share that story and become vulnerable. And I had to be uncomfortable to get comfortable to share that piece of work.
And when it comes to certain cancers, we can kind of like link certain devices to of those being causes of certain cancers, right? So, but when it comes to breast cancer, there's really no direct link to it. It's just, like, could it be genetics, or could it just be environment, or like, what is your best guess as far as like why some women and why others won't get breast cancer?
I mean, you said it right there. Sometimes it is in our DNA, or I should say genetic based.
Hmm.
Obviously, sometimes it's also the environment. We are exposed to toxins every single day. We eat them, we drink them, and we breathe them. Some bacteria are good for us, and some are not. But toxins over time can, and with exposure, can be a problem. There are more cases and studies with women um, going through or being diagnosed with breast cancer and surviving it. Less so with men, but men get it too. I had a good friend of mine. He had a pectoral cancer right in his chest, and it was breast cancer.
Mm.
So not that many cases of men, but men definitely get that diagnosis too, and it could be for a variety of reasons. I truly believe it is about the environment, um, food and beverage consumption.
Hmm.
Different things can lead to different type of diagnosis. I'm just
Okay.
trying to stay away from it, man. It's unfortunate that I've lost loved ones in my family to different types of cancer, specifically my parents. And so I'm trying to do the right thing with moderation, of course, doing different things in terms of eating more plant-based foods and nutrient-dense foods and more fruits and vegetables. Sleep, because as you know, um, stress also is a killer,
Hmm.
right, in our community. And if you are really, really stressed out, that can neurologically, physically cause some harm, cause some danger, causes danger to your life.
Right. Okay. In the book, you always highlighted, you know, yes, there's like a lot of bad things out there for you, but just be careful, be educated, use it in moderation. That's what that was like the biggest takeaway as far as like, if you're gonna do anything, try to be cognizant of what you're doing, but use it in moderation. So, and
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
regards to as far as the start and finish of you writing your book, like, what was the whole process? How long did it take?
Wow. You know what? I started that process 2018, and it was released in 2019. So I was close,
Oh, that's a quick turnaround.
10 months to a year. It was difficult. It was challenging because of some of the content that I had to pull, obviously, from the heart, and being able to just put that on paper. It brought back a lot of um, memories, um, because I saw both of them right before they passed. You see,
Hmm.
so the visuals are there, right? Um, and it was challenging. It definitely was, but I had to push through it and get through with it. Yeah, I had to see it through, and that's important, because I did not want to start this type of work and not complete it, or wait months or years. But it was challenging. Um, and it's a good read. It's about a good 2 3 hour read, and
Hmm.
it was something that I definitely wanted to complete, not just for self, but also for sharing.
Okay. And do you have any plans of writing another book? And what would it be about?
You know, right now my focus is working on this collaborative project with the health and wellness app, Healthy Culture 360. That's a project that I'm really working on right now, as well as fine tuning my health coaching business. Um, so those are the main two things that are really consuming my time. And of course, being a tennis coach, definitely consuming my time. I haven't really thought about another book. I have been approached about doing another collaborative project, which I'm excited about. Can't talk about it just yet because I still haven't. I'm still pondering on it, and I think they're still getting together other authors. But it will deal with some health and wellness topics, um, leadership, um, self development, things of that nature, which I encourage.
Okay.
And
Now, just to kind of, as far as this platform being more of a origin story for like people's backgrounds, like where do people come from and how they develop into the people that they are today. So, I kind of want to get into your parents. Like, what were your parents like? What was your dad like? Was he stern? Was he lackadaisical? I mean, how was your dad and how was your mom?
wow, my father was originally born in Montgomery, Alabama, uh, and he moved to Detroit. Had some family members in Detroit. I have a sister and brother. Then he moved to Chicago. Hence, here I am. My mother was born and raised in Chicago on the South Side. They met, I believe, during grad school. Um, my father, by trade, is a pharmacist. My mother was a school teacher.
Hmm.
And she received her MBA out of, I believe, Northeastern. My father received his MBA from University of Chicago. And so, you know, so glad that God brought them together, um, so I could be birthed, right? I could be have a voice in this world. And yeah, he was stern. He was a disciplinarian. He definitely was.
Hmm.
He raised old school in the Southern tradition, and but I always respected him, loved them both dearly. My mother um, was real. She was the cool, calm, and sweet one. Anytime, I mean, if I got in trouble now, she would lay her hand on me, but she kind of removed herself from that area and let my father be the disciplinarian that he was.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of teachable moments, of course, from a young person um, growing into young adulthood. So learn some valuable lessons, from him. And it was a great growing up on the South Side of Chicago. It really was. My parents were fair,
Hmm.
um, kind of like life, hard but fair, and they allowed me to make my mistakes. They just didn't want me to make them over and over and over, as teenagers do, right?
Hmm.
Even as young adults. So I definitely, man, their parenting, their love, their guidance, it was great. It was. It really was. As I look back at it and reflect, even when they were alive, you know, very thankful for them. Very thankful for them.
And you were the only child as far as between your mother and your father, correct?
Yes.
Now, were you like spoiled growing up, or like did they kind of keep you humble at times?
Uh, my mother probably was spoiled. I mean, my father didn't really play that.
Oh, yeah.
I could get away with some things more so with my mother than my father. And I have a son, and it's the same way. He can get away with some things with her, but we're both disciplinarians in this household.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
but he knows that I carry a big stick, and sometimes I have to redirect him. But I had to be redirected, right? I have to always remember that I was 15 at one point. I was 12 at one point. So uh, things have changed over time, because back in my day, There was no advanced technology. There was no Google, no Siri, no Alexa, none of those things, right? And so, we didn't have, well, at my time, I didn't have a watch on my wrist. I had to tell time by that daylight, right?
Mhm.
By the
Yep.
sun. And if
Yep.
those street lights came on and I wasn't home, punishment awaited me. That's just what it was. That's just what it was.
Yes.
Different times, it was different strokes for different folks. But nowadays, things are different.
Yeah,
Things are,
I remember playing outside pretty much all day.
that's right.
I
That's
think I
right.
memorized maybe 25 different numbers. Like right now, I can't even memorize maybe 5. I only know my number and my wife's number. That's
That's
it.
right. That's about right.
It's funny
Yeah.
how times changed.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. There was a time where we had to go to the library. We had library cards. We had encyclopedias, right?
Yep.
We had thesauruses. We had, you know, learning typewriting. We had the typewriter, right?
Mhm.
Um, things were different.
Yeah, I
Now,
had to go all the way downtown to Harold Washington Library to do research papers.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I had to
That's
hop on the
right.
red line from what, 67th to Michigan, go to 69th Street L station, go all the way downtown. Yeah, I remember those days. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, our
sure.
kids just don't know.
No, they're privileged. These kids are
Yeah,
privileged these days.
yeah,
Real. That's real talk. Privileged. But we love them, right? We do it. We'll do anything we can for them, just like our parents and grandparents did for us.
of course, of
Teachable
course.
moments and lessons every single day.
Now, did your dad come up here during a Great Migration?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he
Okay.
did. Yeah, yes, he did. A lot of people, as you know, from down south,
Mhm.
moved up north, and Detroit, Michigan was his first stop, and Chicago, Illinois was his last stop. I have a loving family from his side that still live in Detroit, and the rest of my family here in Chicago. So it's
Yeah.
not that far away.
Now, where are your mother's southern roots located?
Here, Illinois based,
Oh,
Illinois.
she.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Chicago. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So that's it's interesting. They went to we were a church going family. He went to church where he went to church, and my mother and I we went to church at St. Edmunds Church on the south side, 61st in Michigan. My father's church was Church Good Shepherd. I forget where that south side location is, but he was heavily involved in the church. My mother sang in the choir. Um, go to Bible study, etc., as kids should be doing at that age, young age, and
Yep.
so yeah. But when it came to the household, it was a good family time. It really was. It really was a good family time. No, I look back and reflect. You know, if I got in trouble and got punished, I needed that. Right?
Mhm.
That's what it was. Um, but like you said, see, I was an outdoor kid. I didn't
Mhm.
like being indoors. So the worst punishment for me is be inside and watching my friends play. My father would raise the window up and have me look out the window. You could be doing that, but you messed up,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And sometimes I have to go in my room. Go in your room, no electronics, nothing.
Yeah.
That meant no Atari, right?
You're right. No Atari, no Nintendo.
None of
What
that.
else we have? Genesis later.
Mm,
Yeah, I
or
remember those
I think it
days.
was in television or something like that. I was an Atari kid
Yeah, okay.
and Game Boy, something like that. So yeah, no, the man family upbringing was good. It really was. Yeah, you have ups and downs in any household, but learn valuable lessons, from both of them. So they planted the seed, just like I'm planting the seed and continuing to water the seed for my son.
And which neighborhood did you grow up at?
So I grew up on 69th Street, 69th and Jeffrey on the south side, not too far away from the original South Side YMCA. Now it's called the Don Nash Community Center off 71st Street.
Mhm.
So, but I attended Whitney Young High School. So, um, riding the trains, wait, let me see, rode the green limousine. You know what the green limousine was, right?
The Green Line?
The bus.
Oh, yeah, yeah, back then,
Yeah,
yeah, they were green,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, rode the green limousine and then, took that to and I don't even think it was called the Red Line, it was just the L. Uh, they named them years later, but,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what it was. They weren't taking kids to school. Mm-mm. Get up early, get on that bus, get on that train, here we go.
And how long was your commute from 69th and
Right?
Jeffrey all the way to downtown? Like, how was that commute?
So sometimes, you would get on the 6 or the 14. The 14 Express would take you straight downtown, but you had to get outside between 6 and 6:30 in the morning because classes started at 8. So I had to give
Mhm.
myself really hour 15, hour and a half lead time because you didn't want to mess around and miss a bus or miss a certain train,
Mhm.
you know, because they just like today, so many tardies you have. Well, let's get some detention in. And I wasn't having my parents weren't trying to have no detention. Like, how come you didn't get
Right.
up early enough? No
Mhm.
one's taking you to school. So yeah.
I mean, Whitney Young always been one of the, um, I guess, best public schools in the city. You
Yeah, it
gotta
still is. Still
Yeah,
is.
yeah, I mean, you gotta be very smart to get into Whitney Young, so, I'm sure that your parents instilled education and discipline, dedication, so all that, good stuff just to kinda get you prepared and propelled and prepared in order to even get to Whitney Young.
Yeah, yeah, they did. My mother was a teacher, so she was
Mhm.
calm, but she wasn't a high school teacher. She was a elementary school teacher, so she was very patient. That's why she was patient with me because she taught K through 3 or K through 4, something like that. She liked the younger children. That's
Oh,
what,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So, um, but no, I came from that background. I came from that tree, right?
Mm,
So that family tree was all about you know, those vines or those branches were about one of the branches was education. Most
yeah.
definitely. Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, with her background, from K up to what, 4th grade, it just seemed like she kinda got you off to a good start, as far as she knew what buttons to push in order to kinda get you, motivated to, like, take school seriously. Because if you're not gonna take school seriously, you're not getting to Whitney Young, so,
True
that
that.
definitely wasn't your case. So you you
True that.
you
I
you
mean, I had
definitely got
to
there.
it was tough though. It was tough. Whitney Young was a tough school. I there were some classes I just did not care for. Just like probably you, anybody else, I did not care for chemistry. I like biology. I like physics. I didn't like chemistry. I wasn't really doing I didn't like numbers at the time. Now I love numbers. It was I like science, not the math part. But it was a process, right? It was a
Mhm.
process, and I endured it. I enjoyed it. I think it was tough starting out, but then I think my sophomore and junior year got better. My freshman year was probably my toughest.
Mhm. Yeah,
Starting out.
it's all about the adjustment. So I'm pretty sure, like, your grade school was in the neighborhood, correct? And to jump from that to commute daily all the way to downtown, so, yeah, I mean, that within itself is like a culture shock.
Yeah, it was. Whitney Young was kind of a little past downtown. It's kind of near West Side. The address is 211 South Laughlin. So it
Yep.
wasn't that far from Jackson, you
Mhm.
know. Um, but it was definitely off 290 West Expressway.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, it was an experience just like any other. It was like it was a great experience.
Now, I guess a few notable alumni from Whitney Young, you got Michelle Obama, you got Quentin Richardson. I remember he was a big deal at the time I was in high school.
Hmm.
Trying to see who else went to Whitney Young.
I'll tell you, a good classmate of mine. We went to grammar school together and Whitney Young together. He played for Dallas Cowboys, and he got his 2 rings. Russell Maryland. He played with
Russell,
Emmitt Smith.
Russell Maryland. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
Russell
yeah,
Maryland. Number 67 on that defense for Dallas at that time.
yeah. He won a couple Super Bowls with them as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay,
You know what?
yeah.
Another the directors. I didn't know them, but the Wachowski brothers. They made The Matrix.
The Matrix. Yep.
Yeah, they were young, but I didn't know them. Whitney Young was a big school. I didn't. It was a big school, so you engage with your crew or your clique or who was on your circle. Not everybody.
And it was very diverse as well, right?
Oh man, big time,
Yeah.
big time. Yeah.
Also, I think one of Michael Jordan's kids ended up going there as well. I'm not sure which one, if it was Marcus or Jeffrey, but one of them went to Whitney Young.
You might be right on that.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And now, once you graduated from Whitney Young, you end up going to New Orleans to Xavier University. Now, what was that process as far as like, you're the only child from Chicago, and you decided to go south to go to college. And what was that process like? Was there any other schools in the mix before you end up choosing Xavier?
You know what? We had gone through when I was in high school. We did a college tour, and we had visited different schools in Atlanta, like Morehouse, Clark. Of course, the girls, Spelman, and all that. I think Morris Brown. You know, it was it was a college tour, but I tell you, some people were able to go to places like U of I. I know I didn't want to stay. Um, I didn't want to stay up north. I wanted to be down south. Um, and so I also wanted to attend the HBCU. And I don't think I applied to a lot of schools actually, like kids these days. I mean, they're applying to 20, 50 schools. I don't remember doing that. And Xavier accepted me, and it was just a awesome time. Awesome time.
Um, I know that you transferred from Xavier to Houston, and there was like a transition period because of what you was going through your personal life. You kind of get into that.
Sure, sure. I will say I was not the best academic student at down New Orleans. It was. I tell people, listen, I got down there, had a great time, but I did too much partying, and I probably majored in Bourbon Street.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I majored in Bourbon Street, and so hey, my parents were like, "You got to get it together. You got to get it together." And we didn't send you down here to get these type of grades. So I was not performing well, and so I had to put my thinking cap on. I had to really dig deep and start going to the library and start doing things and studying like 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 I was supposed to. And then
Yeah.
it came to a situation where um, it was kind of I was given really an ultimatum. Actually, really, I was directed by my parents, specifically my dad. He was like, you are not going back. You are now returning to Xavier. You need to change your major, say goodbye to your buddies, and you're going to apply to some different schools, and you got to turn this around. You got to turn this around.
What was your
Um,
major at the time at Xavier?
so I went in there business administration with an emphasis on marketing.
Okay.
I like business. I didn't and see Xavier is a was known for the pharmacology program, the School of Pharmacy. My father actually knew the dean of pharmacy because they were both pharmacists, and so you know I was able to develop a relationship with the dean, and I think my father was trying to push me towards pharmacology.
Which is natural, yes.
It's natural, right? Right. I just didn't, and I was more of a rebel. I just didn't like the science, you know,
Mhm.
and 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 that's I'll leave it right there. But eventually, it got to the point where I had to turn things around in a quick way in a semester, almost a year. He said the only reason why you're going back this next semester is to pull your GPA up, and you will transfer, or you'll come back here at Chicago State or UIC or DePaul, and I wasn't having that. In back of my
Mhm.
mind, it was like I'm enjoying this Southern experience, Southern hospitality, the food, the community, um, but I wasn't heading back to Louisiana at all. So eventually, I did. I got myself together. I think I got up to a 3.3 or something, which is at that time was pretty good on a 4.0 scale, and had to change my major and really do some critical thinking. And therefore, I was accepted to Florida State, Michigan State, and University of Houston. And all of them had top-notch hospitality management operation programs. And, that was the lane that my father and I had talked about, and he said, "This you need to really think hard about this type of industry. It's very broad, and you can section things off, and you can go into different levels, if you will,
Mhm.
based on the choice." And I started thinking about these schools. I'm like, well, I don't want to be in Michigan. It's cold in Michigan. Even though I got family out there, I don't want to be in Michigan. And
Mhm.
if I had been a Florida State Seminole, that's like being in New Orleans. It's the same as partying, having a good time. And I said, you know what? And I had some friends down there in Florida State. And I thought about it. I'm like, wow, if I go to Florida, I'm only between 3 and 5 hours from New Orleans. So I started thinking, wow, that could be some road trips. So my mind, I had to really dial it in and say, you know what? At the time, University of Houston was the number one or number two school in the nation for that industry. And we were always going back and forth with Cornell University. Cornell had a very tight program, so the University of Houston. And so the Hilton family endowed our school. It was, we had a hotel and everything.
Mhm.
The Hilton Hotel.
Oh.
Um, so their family endowed all of, the building. I mean, everything. That's why it was called the Hilton School of Hotel and Restaurant Management Operations. So, you know, that in itself was very esteemed. It was very distinguished. Um, there were not too many African Americans in that program. It was definitely, I would say, 85%, maybe, yeah, 85% Caucasian, maybe 5% Asian, and the rest was us, from the African community standpoint. Weren't too many of us at all in that program, but it was a top notch program, very top notch.
Oh, okay.
So, I had to really, and it was my fault. It was my fault that I was there, but I know God doesn't make mistakes. There were teachable moments. I had to, learn the hard way in New Orleans, that this wasn't for you, and you dug the hole that you
Mhm.
got to get out of. This is the bed that you need to make up, pretty much. You slept in it, you need to make it up. And so, with that transition, it was tough because I was going from a HBCU of maybe 3,000 student body to a PWI of 20 to 25,000 student body. Um, University of Houston was huge. It's
I didn't know
huge.
that Xavier was that small. You
Yeah.
said 3,000 total students?
Yeah. I mean, now they're after post Katrina hurricane. They've added a couple more buildings. They've
Mhm.
rebuilt, obviously. It could be 5 or 6,000. I know I missed their alumni anniversary. I think it was the first weekend in November. I'm seeing all these pictures. I never get a chance to come. It was really for homecoming. Let me take that back. It was homecoming reunion. And in fact, in Xavier University, if it's not next year, it might be 2025. They'll be celebrating 100 years.
Oh, interesting. So I
So,
take it that you at least gonna try to make an effort to get down there then,
oh
huh?
man, because I haven't been down there. I mean, I've been down there, but I haven't engaged with a lot of people because people have moved on. They come back, right? And so
Mhm.
just like when I attended Houston, I would come back for, homecomings and things of that nature. But for some reason, I couldn't connect the first weekend of November, but I'm going to try to. I still keep in contact with some of my friends out there, you
Yeah,
know.
they have the Southern Classic that's between Southern and Grambling, like, every, like, Thanksgiving weekend.
I would go down there.
Yeah.
I would be there while I was in New Orleans when I attended there. I've attended two of those games. Yeah, it
Okay.
was fun. It was a listen, HBCU experience or PWI experience. I engaged and relished in both. It was an awesome experience. Yeah, it put me back about almost 2 years because they take all your credit hours. I had to transfer for one, but when I transferred, I changed my major,
Mhm.
and then changing your major, well, they're not accepting certain credits. I was kind of like starting fresh. It was a fresh start,
Right.
a new experience, a new college experience, a new major. Uh, Yeah, it was I was on that 5.5, almost a 6 year program. I was a five. It was 5.5 years.
Okay. And what was the pivot like as far as going from hospitality management into health and fitness like later in life?
That was a good, that's a good question, Rob. It was a process, and I'll break it down. I'll break the process down to you for the audience. You know, I upon graduation in '92, I served in different capacities in different companies, Fortune 500 companies, from sales and marketing to food and beverage operations, hands-on marketing, sales, and I made a pivot into the healthcare sector. I worked for hospitals in the dietary nutrition department.
Hmm.
So working in hospitals, it's a different pair. It's a different experience. I didn't necessarily see patients, but I got a chance to see the type of diets they were on. I saw certain charts. Right now, there were a couple times I had to take some trays to the patients, um, but that's not something that I did all the time. Usually, the dietitian would look over their plans, their meal plans. But I got a great experience working in hospitals. Worked at St. Anthony's Hospital, worked at St. Joseph's Hospital. Uh, Michael Reese when Michael Reese was here. Um, and even though it was revolving food and beverage, it was just a different experience from sales, different experience from sales slash marketing. It was more hands on. Um, so that pivot really allowed me to become more involved and engaged with dietary nutrition because I wore the shoes.
Hmm.
I wore the shoes, and from that point on, working in corporate, I wanted to be my own boss or be my own entrepreneur, and I got tired of working eight to faint. But little did I know, when you own a business, you got to wear multiple hats, and you are working eight to faint,
Hmm. Yes.
and uh, you know my hospitality management experience in corporate as well as working in hospitals, working even in the higher education sector within food and beverage, it allowed me a vast amount of experience to say, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. So I co-own a healthy restaurant concept after leaving corporate, probably in 2011 or 11, I think, because I opened up my restaurant in 2013, and that lasted about 3.5 years. And you know, I really focused on, the concept was focusing on high fiber, high protein, low carb meals, no fried foods were served. And that really that was the pivot to say, wow, I'm looking at ingredients. We're looking at ingredients on these nutritional labels, right?
Hmm.
Understanding what the market wants um, versus all the other um, QSRs, quick service restaurants that were available, right? We were the option. We were the alternative healthy option from a Wendy's or Popeyes, Burger King, McDonald's. You know, it really was a good concept, and I'm applying it even today. High protein, low carb. Try and reduce any type of fried foods in the house. Um, of course, with a little moderation. And then from that point on, I kind of really wanted to um, stay in the lane of dietary nutrition, but from a health and wellness perspective. And that's why, even when you asked me earlier about the book, part of my experiences I put in the book as it relates to, you know, living and leading a healthier, powered lifestyle.
Hmm.
Because it's not always about physicality. It's about mental, emotional, and spiritual health, of course, as well as physical health. You
Hmm.
follow me? And so I've been able now to extend my education And last August, I received my certification from the Institute of Integrated Nutrition, um, from being a health coach. And that was a good experience as well, because I know I needed more information about what I want to share locally and possibly globally, not just through books, but through actual content. Um, and actually, I had put the cart before the horse, kind of with my book as well, because I didn't have a brand, but I was building a brand. I was composing it, and I developed the Ultimate Health and Happiness Program, and it's pretty much a digital, online type of program, but it's pretty much a 8 week module based program, like one-on-one coaching, um, talking about a lot of different things, because I believe that self care, you can't have self care. Well, self care is the new health care. You can't have good mental health without physical health.
Hmm.
You can't have good physical health without good mental health. But all encompasses self care, especially being in the pandemic, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, working with a couple of clients, I'm trying to expand that as well. My tennis business is different from the coaching business, but they kind of coincide in a way, because it's dealing with the physical side of things and understanding cardio interval training and things of that nature. Um, but yeah, and then of course I mentioned earlier, I'm also working on this collaborative project with this health and wellness app, Healthy Culture 360. People can download that app on their Android phones, their Apple phones, and it's in beta testing mode right now. But I'm collaborating with practitioners, nutritionists, coaches, a couple doctors, but we're talking about alternative holistic health, though. You know, so it's exciting. It's exciting to share this information, because the average person knows what to do, right? We
Yeah.
know that we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep for good rest, right? For
Hmm.
good recovery, for less brain fog, so we can be clear and have clarity, and things of that nature. We know that we're supposed to hydrate all the time,
Hmm.
not drinking soda or sparkling water. You know, there's things we know.
Right. Right.
Sometimes, you have to have someone to guide you, and that's what I'm here for, as a health coach, to help guide. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you anything that I haven't done. I'm here to guide you through a process so that you meet your goals. And
Yeah.
if you don't have health goals, let's work on those goals. Let's do something to connect so that you are at a better place.
Yeah. I have two follow up questions. One, I'm not sure if you can totally answer this outright, but if you can appraise the medical and pharmaceutical industrial complex, do you think that they are doing a good job at tackling individuals' diets, or are they good with status quo as far as just prescribing medications just to treat symptoms and not get into the root causes of those symptoms?
Yeah, that's a deeply rooted question. I may have to break that down, in certain parts, but I will like to share with the audience from the Harvard Medical School. It's called a healthy eating plate. I don't know if they can see this, but
Okay.
what I can do, I can break it down to you. We need to have, in our cooking processes, right? We need to use healthy oils, like olive oil. Uh, we want to limit butter and avoid trans fat. You want to obviously eat more vegetables, right?
And stay away
Um,
from lard because growing up in the 80s,
yeah,
that was our main oil was lard.
that's right. And bacon fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same, almost same thing. I mean, the more vegetables you eat, the greater the variety, the better. But potatoes and French fries don't count.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want to eat plenty of fruits of all colors. You want to make a colorful plate. You got to make a colorful plate, and you want to curb out or crowd out the things that are unnecessary, that are too much, like certain carbs. All carbs aren't bad. You know, I just stay away from white rice. I like or prefer brown rice. If
Hmm.
I'm eating a baked potato, I want the skin on that potato. It's rich in nutrients, right? We
Hmm.
talked about earlier about water. Drink a lot of water, maybe even some tea and coffee, no sugar, right? Um, Kind of
What's
limit
what's the
limit your dairy.
what's
Say it
what's a
again.
healthy amount of water as far as like as far as minimum? Like, would you say half a gallon a day, a gallon per day? What's a good happy
I mean,
medium?
a gallon is 64 ounces, right? Half a gallon is nothing. A gallon is definitely something you should be doing. I strive for that. I
Yep.
may not
Okay.
meet that goal every day, but I do strive for that. Um, you eat a variety of whole grains, like whole wheat bread, if you want to, or whole grain pasta. I just mentioned brown rice, your legumes, your nuts and berries. You want to choose wild caught fish like wild caught salmon.
Yes.
Um, Beans are a very good source of fiber and protein. I love kidney beans, black beans, of course, your green beans, but you want to limit your processed foods, right?
Hmm.
You gotta cut out the processed foods because most of these processed foods, especially your lunch meat and stuff, they have what is known as nitrates and nitrates, and they're just chemical compounds that serve no purpose, no nutritional value or purpose, but they're
You touched
used.
on that in your last chapter of your book. That's what you touched into as far as the nitrates and the nitrates and nitrites, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
and high fructose corn syrup. And
Hmm.
high fructose corn syrup is used, man, in the production, the processing, and preservation of our foods. So you gotta remove that, not all at one time if you can, but gradually remove that from your diet. And that's in a lot of things like your syrups, um, of course, some processed foods, um, ketchup. It's used in a lot of things because
Hmm.
they're preserved where? In our cabinets, in our refrigerators. But stemming back to your question about the big pharma or the big pharmaceutical industry and all these big companies, you know, I think the FDA has done a better job um, of forcing restaurants, forcing certain institutions to educate us as consumers, understanding what's on the back of that label. Now, I'll say this: if it's a product you're using or you enjoy, and on the back of that label, all that nutritional content is about a paragraph long, you probably shouldn't use it. You probably shouldn't consume it
All right.
at all. No. And you got to understand what those long words are, right? We all know corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, nitrates, you know, but there's some other things that you have to be mindful of. Even when you're going into the grocery store, you got to understand what you want to consume non-GMO. You don't want any genetically modified organisms coming into your system. And there's a
Right.
lot of genetically modified foods that are out there, like your basic tomatoes, your potatoes, your corn, your squash, right? You have
Hmm.
to eat natural or organic foods free of toxins. So, the FDA has done a better job. um, I think over time I've had to educate myself and just you know experience different things. Go to a health food store, see what they have. You can't always just go to your favorite grocery store and get the same thing routinely day in and day out. Try something and experience something different.
Also, farmers markets as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think I think you know I think a lot of us consumers get sidelined by what's on media. These TV commercials. You got to remember
Mhm.
the FDA only approves stuff that's edible. They don't approve everything that's healthy for you. They approve things that are just edible.
Mhm.
Well, cupcakes are edible. Certain cereal is edible. but are they good for us because of the content that's being produced within that product? So you just got to understand the value or the nutritional value that you're giving yourself, because eventually, over time, especially as you age, if you continue to eat or consume, drink things that are unhealthy for you, it's going to catch up, and
Hmm.
then you're going to want to go into a doctor, and after that doctor's diagnosis, you're going to be forced. You're going to be forced because your body's already told you, but now the doctor's telling you based on the blood test, and whatever ailment you're having, most of it's probably because of why certain food and beverage consumption,
Hmm.
and now you'll be forced to take it out your diet.
Right.
So you have to look at certain things. Even though I just talked about moderation, I just choose not to drink soda. I choose not to eat a bunch of ice cream. I choose not to eat a lot of desserts, right?
Yeah.
Candy. I mean, it's okay to eat those things. You got to be mindful of when you do it and how often you do it.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I think, I don't know if I answered that question. I guess I wanted to give you some more information, especially from Harvard Medical School. The diagram I showed and I kind of talked about, it's really basic. We just
Okay.
have to include we have to include those food groups. That's it. And we have to be mindful of what we're feeding our mind in terms of the TV, the commercials, even in social media that says so and so, this is good for you. No, you got to try some plant based foods, try some things that are different for you. Lay off, maybe not consume as much beef or pork. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, and don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, those are sources of protein. They are. I just choose
Yeah.
not to consume those two products.
Okay. Okay. Well, bacon, that's my guilty pleasure right there. I love me some bacon. Bacon
Man,
every
switch
day.
over to turkey. Get you some turkey bacon. That's all you gotta
Yeah.
do. Just try turkey bacon. That's
You know
all.
what? I get my kids turkey bacon, and me and my wife, we get beef bacon.
Well, hey, to
We used to get duck bacon, but sometimes it could be a little bit pricey. But we're set on a beef bacon. So
okay, well,
yeah,
teach its own.
yeah.
It's all about as long as you don't eat it every day.
Oh no, no, not every day. No.
And at least you kind of took the pork out the diet and you did beef. Listen, I'm not saying to the audience that beef is bad or beef is wrong. Again, it's all about moderation. It's all
Of
about
course,
moderation.
of course.
If I'm having a steak, I want it to be grass fed, and it's expensive to go out and purchase a grass fed steak from a steakhouse, because some steakhouses, they might have that on the menu, and if they do, it's going to be expensive.
All right.
So be
Yes.
ready for that. But again, I'm not eating steak like that.
Mhm.
I'm not eating beef maybe once a month. Maybe I have a good burger, but I'm really trying. And for me personally, beef stays in my system too long. It That's just me. Um, it just does. And so I'm
Okay.
like, you know what? I need to kind of take it off my diet.
Okay. Well, let me give you two more questions so before we get on out of here, because we almost been on for an hour, so I don't want to take a lot of your time. It
Appreciate
is your
you.
birthday, so I'm sure you got a lot of plans going on. So, the first question: what are the different types of holistic healing, as far as how you would recommend?
Well, that's broad. I like holistic. You know, I look at holistic being medicinal properties. I look at holistic being something that's alternative than the norm. Um, Mindfulness, meditation could be holistically healing for somebody. Positive affirmations. You know, you go into a health food store, you're going to find those holistic options, right? Meaning those foods that are not processed, those foods that don't have high fructose corn syrup or trans fat, the nitrates, those are the things that we don't want in our systems. You know, you're not going to find a lot of genetically modified organisms being sold at a health food store. So when I think of holistic items, there's tea, drinking a lot of tea, whether it be black or green or red. Um,
And that's without adding all the sugar or honey, just basically hot
no
water
sugar.
and tea. That's it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, don't get me wrong. I'll squeeze fresh lemon in my tea
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
maybe um, a teaspoon of honey.
Okay.
Honey's natural though. Honey's natural, right? What you don't want are these sugar substitutes that have aspartame in them.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, uh, the sweet and low and the I forget the other
Splendid.
one, splendid. You know, you want if you're going to use sugar, use brown sugar, use raw sugar. But
Mhm.
again, for me, it's a touch of honey.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, those are that's when I think of that. That's where I go to. Um, even certain medication, that helps you with flus or cold. It's a long word. I can't even pronounce it, but it's OXY something, oxy something. Um, it's a homeopathic type of um, medicinal property that really helps with if you're coming down with a cold or flu-like symptoms, fatigue. I can't pronounce it. It's a long word. I just call it OXY for short. But
Yeah.
you know, um,
Now, do you personally consume any CBD or cannabis type of like edibles?
you know what? I've used topical
Mhm.
treatments because I play tennis and when I work out, if I have a little issue with my shoulder or my knee,
Yeah.
I use that. I don't use what's the old school what's that ointment that smells? Oh my God, what's the name of that? We used to use it all the time years ago.
Some of the icy hot.
Icy hot, thank you. But there's
Yeah.
another one. There's another one. It's icy hot, and there was another product.
Bengay.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't even use that anymore.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
just
Okay.
I can actually use something that's kind of natural. And CBD is works for different people. It may not work for everybody,
Mhm.
but I use topicals. Yeah, I use the topical ointments.
Okay. All right. Final question. If I'm like an alien from outer space and I come to Earth and I happen to run into Jeff Cade. Jeff Cade, I want to know what is the best diet I can be on so that I can live for like 80 years as a human. So what would be the gold standard of a book to read? What would be the gold standard of a documentary to view, as far as like that's to kind of get to know about the human healthy lifestyle? First book
Wow,
and then documentary.
that's huge. That's huge.
It's so much content out there,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's hard to choose.
I'll tell you now. I am actually in the mode of reading a book by Deepak Chopra. It's called Total Meditation. It's called Total Meditation. I like my book, Battleground Cancer. Right, I'm the
Yeah.
author of that, but Deepak Chopra is deep, man. I could appreciate a lot of his work. Um, I think mindfulness is very important. Being aware. I think meditation is definitely something that people should incorporate as they wake up in the morning and as they go to bed at night.
Okay.
I think prayer is powerful. Mindfulness, meditation kind of go hand in hand, but prayer is powerful. I think that people should try, if I'm talking to this alien, you know, try some plant-based foods, try something different.
Hmm.
You gotta change up. You gotta change up your diet because what's going to happen is later on in life, it's going to force you to,
Okay.
and we want to eat our food as vitamins versus taking our food the reverse way.
Right. Just
You have to
yeah.
be able to. I'll have to kind of give you an excerpt. Um, it's really about um, you want to eat your food as your medicine, like the vitamins and nutrients, versus taking medications as food. When you're in a hospital, what are you doing? Your your food is your medication. That's not the best thing, is it?
Not at all.
Not at all. So we just have to be mindful of all the things. I mean, think about this now. There are more restaurant options that are vegan based, you know, or vegetarian based. And you gotta expose yourself to that.
Hmm.
Because if you get locked and loaded on hot dogs and hamburgers all the time and lunch meat, processed foods, that's gonna wear your arteries out, right? And now you're gonna be forced to take it out your system and try something new, and you're
Right.
not gonna want that. Why? Because you've been habitually doing the same thing over and over and over. You've programmed yourself because of your taste buds that this is what is good to you. Well, it's
Hmm.
good to you, but is it good for you? Is it good for your mind? Is it good for your soul? It, you know, that's what I'm saying. Self care is the new healthcare. You got to take better care of yourself. And how can you even take care of somebody else and help someone if you can't even do that for yourself? Self love is critical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Same.
I would also tell that alien, make sure they connect with me at www.jeffcade360.com. Jeffcade360.com. That's kind of a communication hub where people can connect with me socially on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or if they just don't want to deal with social media, they can send me a direct text message or email um, right to me. So it allows people to connect with me faster. It's kind of like I said, a digital communication hub. If people want to connect with me, they can do that and send me a quick direct message. We could talk about their health goals. I have health history forms where I do one-on-one consultations. In fact, I'm going to be doing something for they call it Black Friday, I guess, right?
Oh.
So I'm going to be offering some consultations, and reduce at a reduced price. So people can connect with me real quick, man. I know we're about to get into the holiday season. It's about to be festive, and
Yes, sir.
all these resolutions are coming on January 1st.
Yes,
And
sir.
the major one, lose weight.
Lose weight. Yep.
Okay, well, we're going to see if they stick to that. That's a big commitment.
And Jeff K 360, that's the main hub of how to get your book and how to sign up for a program and the one-on-one consultations. Everything is on Jeff K 360.
Yeah, jeffcade360.com.
Okay. I
That
will
is
include that.
strictly, yeah, yeah. You connect with me on that website, then at least I have that person's information. We can have a private conversation. Um, the other one is Healthy Culture 360, which is a downloadable app. You can download it now. It's just not ready for any type of consultations just yet. But it offers a host of information. Some of it is free content as well. Um, and it actually links to a brick and mortar health and wellness center or store that's actually located on the south side. I don't own it at all, but I know the person who does.
Okay.
Healthy Culture Connection. Yeah. So we're in the works of getting this app together. It's going to be amazing. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I was browsing through jeffk360.com. I was browsing through it. So, well, you definitely will be hearing from me as far as like, maybe signing up for a program. So,
no doubt, no
So
doubt.
stay tuned for that. So, but again, Jeff, thank you for taking the time out. We are over 1 hour of having a conversation. So I appreciate your knowledge, your expertise. Appreciate you just give me some time on your birthday. So hope you have some nice festive memories and events as going to come later on today with your family. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being. I'm allowed for me to allow on your guest as a guest and being on this platform, giving you some time. I appreciate that. And yeah, the birthday party continues.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Be well.
All right.